So, is Monster, the Ed Gein Story, the worst entry in the series? Welcome back to Dramatic Evaluation. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the newest entry in the Monster series on Netflix, Monster, the Ed Gein Story. Please hook me up and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please leave a comment. So, minor spoiler alert, I'm not going to go too heavy into details. This is going to be a relatively short video. I'm not going to review the whole plot and go into crazy details, but there are things I'm going to mention that are technically spoilers. So you've been warned, spoiler alert. And so in this video, we're going to find out, is this the worst entry in the series of the monster shows after Dahmer and then the Menendez Brothers, and now this is the third one featuring Ed Gein. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the acting and the performances in this one. The main character, Charlie Hunnam, played by Charlie Hunnam. I love this actor in Sons of Anarchy. That was a great show. I really enjoyed that. But his voice, man, what on earth? So, I haven't watched anything else really about Ed Gein. I've heard about Ed Gein a bunch. And I'm familiar with, some of the stuff he's inspired with the movies, which they get into in this show. But I guess I have not heard him speak, so I did not know that his voice was going to be like this. But even if he has a voice that's like high and weird and soft-spoken like that, it just sounds like Charlie Hunnam is doing this, like, very obviously doing a voice that is like, that you would do to like make fun of someone. Like, oh, hello. Oh, is this what you like? Like, his voice is wild. It's crazy to me in this. And I don't think it's good. I don't think he's doing a good job with that. I do not care for the voice. And, he's kind of guilty of, even in Sons of Anarchy, doing a bad job of masking his accent. His accent will pop out a bunch in that show. So, I don't know. I do think he's a good actor, but the voice killed me in this show. I just could not believe, like, episode 1, I'm like, this is what we're in for? I'm gonna watch 8 episodes of this? Okay. We'll see how it goes. And then wasn't really a fan of the Hitchcock guy either, the guy who played Alfred Hitchcock. I felt like that was kind of weird. Incredibly insane prosthetic. Like, he had this, like, Alfred Hitchcock was an overweight guy, so he, they felt like, oh, we need to put a prosthetic on this guy. The normal, complete, like, skinny face, the normal actor, and then all of a sudden this bulbous neck fat that just like popped out, a double chin thing. Like, it was just a terrible makeup job, in my opinion. I just thought it looked laughably ridiculous, and I'm like, yeah, that's what you're going with. And his voice also was weird, and I did not care for that either. So, yeah, so those two weren't really a fan. But I will say Laurie Metcalf, who plays the mother, Ed Gein's mom, killed it. She was great. She did a very good job and was very gnarly. It was very interesting to see the mother-son relationship and how clearly affected he was by having the mother that he had. And I thought she did a very good job of being a crotchety old woman. So she was good. So in terms of the writing, like, I couldn't stand this back and forth thing that they would do. Like, I'm watching this to watch and I didn't expect anything like this, and could have done completely without it, by the way. But I'm watching this to get the story of Ed Gein, to see, like, oh, this crazy, infamous serial killer and this gnarly stuff that he did. Let's see that. Show me that. That's what I'm here for. And it was, some of that mixed in heavily with some of the stuff that he inspired. Like, I'm aware, like, he inspired Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Some of this stuff was based on him, Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs. But you don't need to cut to it and then have, like, 30 minutes of Alfred Hitchcock talking about his movie Psycho that came out and how it's being received by fans and stuff. Like, that was just weird. I didn't need any of that, let alone the amount of it. Like, maybe allude to it or show it briefly or something, but it was kind of like half the show was like all that stuff, and it was just a little overboard with that, and I just did not need or like any of that stuff. And the way that they would do it too, in some moments, like they would have a scene where like Ed Gein's like about to like kill someone, and then it jumps to like supposedly, seemingly like a scene in the movie that he like inspired or whatever, and you're kind of like, did that happen? Did that thing happen? Go back to that. I want to see that. I want to see that through. I don't want to jump to the movie thing and then talk and then have the director or the actors like talking and stuff. I want to see the story of Ed Gein. This is what I'm trying to watch. What the heck? And then it would make me question, like they did that with him going and stabbing the girlfriend Adeline in the shower, and then like cutting to like, oh, the famous scene in Psycho, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess did he kill her? Like, that's weird. That's crazy. And then they go to the next episode and no, of course not. She's all there and around and it's fine. And I'm like, why? What are we even doing? What did he inspire then if he didn't even do that? Like, it was just very unclear and weird, and I just didn't like how they did that at all. Did the same thing with Addison Rae is in this, and same thing with that, where he's like about to hit her with a hammer, and then it just cuts to some other scene from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And you're just like, did he do that? Did he not? Like, what is real? Like, what am I watching? It just made me question what actually happened too much. And I wanted more of a story of like telling me like the events that took place in this guy's life and like what he did, not what it inspired in fake movies years later, you know? And by the way, I did not like that character Adeline at all. I know it's character, it's based on a real person or whatever, but like, I did not need that full episode of her going to the city, trying to like leave him and everything behind, go to the city, epically fail at trying to go become a photographer or whatever, and just getting clowned by the guy, like, and then just coming back, tail between her legs. Like, well, I did not need any of that in this show. I'm not really sure, whatever they were trying to do with that went over my head, I guess, but I didn't like it, didn't need it. Cinematography and directing and everything it's fine. Ryan Murphy is Ryan Murphy. He can make things look good, and he's decent at what he does, but he just does these Ryan Murphyisms that are just weird, and if you've seen American Horror Story, you know what I'm talking about, where it's just like fanciful, fantastical, like weird things that get away from the main story, and it's just like an odd, like what am I watching at this point? It's very, very strange. But I don't really like, so it's like a period piece, it's back in the, I don't even know, what was that, like 40s or 50s or something. And I just, I don't care for the music in that era. I don't care for the clothes, the style, everything. So that's just a personal, subjective thing. Like, that's just not for me. I know there's plenty of stuff out there like that, and people like that kind of stuff, and that's fine if you did. I just didn't personally. That's just not what kind of style and things that I'm into. But I hate the dialogue from that era too. Like the way people talk, like people could not have talked like that. I just don't buy it. When you watch stuff that's that old, like from that old era, like, and the way that they speak, like the words they use and the phrases they use, it's just like, nope. I don't believe it. It's just weird. It doesn't make sense that people would have spoken that way. Like, maybe if I lived there and experienced it, maybe I'm wrong. But it just seems so fake and weird, and I just can't relate to it because it's just not how people talk today, I guess. I don't know. The length and the pacing, it was, there were hour-long episodes. A little too long. I think these could have been 45-minute episodes. So a couple of them did kind of feel like they dragged out a little too long, and probably could have been trimmed down a little bit. I don't think they needed an hour episode, 8 episodes, but overall 8 episodes is not too long of a season, so it wasn't too bad to get through. It didn't really drag too much when it was Ed Gein, and it was focusing on that because that's what I was interested in and what I wanted to see. When it would cut to Alfred Hitchcock and Perkins and some of that other stuff with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff, it just, that's where it was kind of like, okay, that's where it felt dragging a little bit because it was just wasn't really interested and didn't need or want to see that stuff. I want to see the gnarly stuff that Ed Gein did. That's why I'm in for this ride. That's what I'm trying to watch. And I'd be engaged in that stuff and wanting to like see what happens next or whatever, and then it would just cut to the other thing and just pull me out and leave me unsatisfied with what I was trying to watch then, especially because it wouldn't like come back to that. It would just like move forward in time after the fact, and it's just like, why won't you let me watch this? Show this to me. It's super annoying. So just a couple moments. Just wanted to point out, like, one thing that I I laughed out loud, found this thoroughly hilarious, when he's yelling at that lady Bernice that he like hooks up with, and then after the fact he gets in his head about his mother coming down on him or what she would have said about the situation and her, and he gets him, talks himself out of it basically. So he goes to, like, she's like set up a nice little dinner and she's got this gift of like her brassieres that she's giving to him, and he just like kind of blows up at her and is like, you're, this is not okay, like you shouldn't be running around the town and doing this kind of thing, and kind of is ending the relationship. And he goes, he's like, now, as if to be like, now I'll just take my things and be on my way and after I've kind of told you this is what it is and this needs to end and I'm just out of here, and just nonchalantly picks up the box of brassieres as if it's just one of his belongings already to leave. And she like grabs it. She's like, no, you don't get to have that. Like, I am not giving that to you now after you just said what you said. And just the way that he just nonchalantly picks it up as if it's already his, as he's like shutting her down. That just made me laugh. I really enjoyed that part. Another thing to note is at the end when he's at least in his 70s, but I think at the very end of his life, when Adeline comes to visit him, I think he might be even older than that. But at the very least, he's in his 70s. They've got old person makeup on him, gray hair. You can tell the face makeup. He's, they're making him look old. Adeline shows up to visit him. They're the same age. At least maybe she's a couple years younger than him, but she would be in her 70s also. It was as if there was no effort whatsoever to no makeup or anything. She still had blonde hair. They couldn't make the hair gray or white. Didn't seem like there were any like age like spots or wrinkles. She just looked like a 12-year-old girl, like she had the whole show. Like this, it was crazy. Her voice was still the same. She wasn't trying to do anything differently. They weren't either with the makeup. And it was just very weird how this like 12-year-old girl was talking to this 70-year-old guy. I just, that blew my mind with that scene. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So is Monster, the Ed Gein Story, the worst entry in the series? Yeah, I think it is for me. I really enjoyed Dahmer. I thought that was very good. I really like that actor too. I really enjoyed the Menendez Brothers one. I thought that was very well done. And then this one, it wasn't terrible. So my rating, it's a 7.7, but that's not that great. And it definitely just compared to those other two that I really liked, I definitely think this is the worst one. It's like I said, it's not terrible. I just didn't enjoy it that much. It was fine. It had its moments that were pretty cool, but it just had too much in it that I just did not care for. And it just did not live up to my expectations and my hopes for this. After the first two, and knowing what I did know about Ed Gein already, I was really looking forward to this one, expecting it to be brutal and gnarly. And it had its moments here and there of that, but it just wasn't enough of that. And it just veered too far away from that with all the stuff that I mentioned about the Hitchcock and Texas Chainsaw and all that stuff. I just would have preferred it to be a little more matter of fact. Here's the story of this dude and what he did, and here it is, So yeah, for me, unfortunately, the weakest of the three in the Monster series on Netflix. So that's it for my review of Monster, the Ed Gein Story. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the show. If you think I'm way off base, if you think my take on it is crazy, or if you agree with me. And leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see me cover next. Stay tuned. Until next time. Bye.